Simpson! You forgot your receipt for your adult bedwetting product, Homer Simpson!
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
From election woes to halftime shows to conspiracies and more. Join me as I show you 10 times The Simpsons predicted the future. 10. I didn't vote for him. In 2008, the show decided to do an episode that featured not just voting, but voting via an electronic machine.
Ooh, one of those electronic voting dealies.
This was a big step for the world following the 2000 presidential controversy in Florida, where votes were recounted because of incorrect marking. The notion that these machines couldn't possibly have any issues registering votes? Right. Well, the Simpsons team knew the flaws in that idea of a system, so during the 2008 election, they had Homer use one of these machines to go and vote for Barack Obama. Except that when he pushed the sensor for Obama, the vote tallied up for John McCain instead.
One vote for McCain. Thank you.
No, I want to vote for Obama.
2 votes for McCain.
Oops. Fast forward a mere 4 years later to the 2012 election, and a very similar thing happened. One of the electronic voting machines wasn't calibrated properly, and due to this, it took a vote for Barack Obama and tallied it for his opponent Mitt Romney instead. Obviously, this was a big scandal, and it had to be fixed. These are the predictions that weird people out, because when you predict something small or random, it's hilarious, but just a coincidence. But getting something like this right? That's oddly specific. 9. Nobel Peace Prize. This one is really hilarious when you think about it on the large scale. Lisa, Martin, Database, and Milhouse had a betting pool for the Nobel Prize in a 2010 episode, Season 22, Episode 1 to be exact.
The Nobel Prize for Peace goes to...
Isn't this exciting?
Krusty the Clown.
If you look to the right of the red circle, you'll notice Milhouse picked Bengt R. Holmstrom to win the prize for economics. In 2016, Holmstrom actually won that prize. That's one heck of a coincidence. And obviously, when it comes to the Nobel Peace Prize, certain people are nominated year after year for their accomplishments. Sigmund Freud, for example, was nominated 13 times, though he never did win. So for them to get it right like that, albeit 6 years later, that's something. 8. Higgs Boson. Let's be honest here for a second. Homer is an idiot and has been for most of the series. That's literally one of his most important qualities. And yet, Homer Simpson almost predicted the mass of the elementary particle, the Higgs boson, more than a decade before it was discovered, according to a book on maths in The Simpsons. In the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, aired in 1998, Homer becomes an inventor and is shown in front of a blackboard with a complicated equation. This may seem like basic stuff, and you'd think that the equation that was on the blackboard had a secret message or was written in a way that mathematicians could say, yeah, that's a real formula, or something like that, right? Except it was real, and in 2012, it was almost spot on for the actual formula that predicted the mass of the Higgs boson particle. That equation predicts the mass of the Higgs boson, writer Simon Singh said. If you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered. So, how did this happen? Simple. The Simpsons writing team is full of math and science nerds, so they put this together themselves, and were right. Give them a Nobel Peace Prize. Just saying. 7. Autocorrect. Shout out to everyone who has had frustrations with autocorrect, smartphones in general, and just trying to get your device to understand what you're saying or thinking. School bullies Kearney and Dolph take a memo to beat up Martin on a Newton device in an episode of The Simpsons that aired in 1994. The memo gets quickly translated to "Eat up Martha," an early foreshadowing of autocorrect frustrations. The Simpsons was lampooning Apple's underwhelming Newton, the iPhone's ancient ancestor. Nitin Ganatra, former director of engineering iOS applications at Apple, told Fast Company that this particular moment on The Simpsons served as an inspiration to get the iPhone keyboard right. They did, but autocorrect still sucks to this day, am I right? Who's with me? 6. Tiger Tiger. In 1993, during the 5th season, they had an episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Basically, Mr. Burns had legalized gambling in Springfield and opened up a casino to prove how much money he could make. And in that casino was a couple of performers, Gunter and Ernst, and it was oh so obvious that these two were meant to spoof the legendary Vegas duo Siegfried and Roy. During the episode, one of the duo actually got attacked by one of their pet tigers. A hilarious bit for the show, no doubt, until it became real 10 years later. In 2003, Roy Horn was indeed attacked by one of the tigers that they had performed with time and time again. The mauling was so bad that it ended their careers, and Roy was severely hurt. There's a lot of controversy still surrounding what happened, but there's no denying that Simpsons were uncannily accurate with how it would go down. If you're curious, yes, Roy did recover, and in a defiant act that a lot of people didn't like, he made sure that the tiger that attacked him, named Manticore, did not get put down. Rather, he passed away from an illness. 5. Lady Gaga's halftime show. In 2012, the show did an episode featuring the very over-the-top artist Lady Gaga, and she did a performance in the town of Springfield. But her performance was done nearly entirely in midair.
Beautiful.
I love you, lady. Yeah, yeah.
Fast forward to 2017, and Lady Gaga was asked to go and do the Super Bowl halftime show. And to start the entire thing off, she jumped off the roof of the entire stadium. It was staged, obviously, but the fact that this happened at all and resembled parts of what she did in Springfield is very weird. Maybe she remembered the episode and decided to mirror it? Weirder things have happened when Lady Gaga is concerned. 4. Smartwatch. An important thing that you need to remember is that The Simpsons premiered in December of 1989. So a lot of what they were doing was based on both their present and what the writers perceived the future would be like. For example, in 1995, cell phones weren't really a thing in the mass market yet, and the idea of a phone being put into a watch was unheard of, except for in The Simpsons. During season 6, a future timeline showed Lisa with a husband, and that husband had a smartwatch on, and that smartwatch had the ability to take orders from Hugh, Lisa's husband, and give orders to other people.
Oh, blast. Go to plan B.
Fast forward to 2014, and the first smartwatches were born and released to the public, and with each passing year, they get stronger in function, are able to do more, and the sky is literally the limit for them right now. Domino's even made it to where you could go and use your smartwatch to order a pizza from them.
Enjoy.
Which, obviously, the writers of The Simpsons couldn't have known about back in 1995. But maybe they just felt that this was where everything was going, and thus they decided to do their own spin on things. Never forget, Star Trek was the literal birthplace of cell phones because of communicators they had on the show. So who's to say someone didn't look at The Simpsons during that episode and go, yeah, we can do that. 3. Mutated Tomatoes. During the episode E-I-E-I, Annoyed Grunt, The Simpsons got themselves a farm and decided to go and grow tomatoes. But in the process of growing them, Homer actually used nuclear power to fuse tomatoes with tobacco. Because he did this, the tomatoes actually became highly addictive, and when they grew, they were giant and deformed.
Tobacco? That's pretty clever, Dad. I mean, for a product that's evil and deadly.
Surely nothing like this would happen in real life, right? Wrong! Because while the episode aired in 1999, around 2013, a field of tomatoes in Japan were found to have grown to an enormous size that didn't make any sense. It was found out that the tomatoes were actually a result of contamination from the nearby nuclear power plant, and thankfully, they weren't addictive. But the fact still remains that this kind of deformed tomatoes still happen. There's a lot of controversy over genetically engineered tomatoes that have been grown by certain companies, which no doubt could go the Homer Simpson route if they wanted to. 2. Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, for years, was the best show on television. The adaptation of the works by George R.R. Martin had many fans gripped for years and frequently tuning into HBO when the new season dropped so that they could watch the next episode. However, by the time of season 6 and 7, they had run out of source material because Martin hadn't finished the book series. Thus, the showrunners and the writing team finished it themselves, and it didn't end well. In fact, season 8 of the series is the most hated of the series, and the series finale is rated as one of the most hated series finales of all time. You see where this is going, right?
Pretty sharp. Pretty sharp.
Yep, The Simpsons predicted one of the biggest twists in season 8. In 2017, on a season 29 episode of The Simpsons titled The Surfsons, which spoofed various aspects of Game of Thrones, including the three-eyed raven and the Night King, Homer revives a dragon that proceeds to incinerate a village. Up until that point, the dragons of Daenerys Targaryen had only burned certain things, not whole villages. But this was entirely different, and the positioning of the shot is not unlike the shot Cersei Lannister had when she watched the dragon Drogon burn down King's Landing. Granted, you could argue that they read between the lines to see what was going to happen, but still, it's really weird how perfect that shot was. 1. Disney buys Fox. Over the last 10 plus years, Disney has asserted themselves as the true rulers of entertainment. They bought Marvel Comics, they bought Lucasfilm, and now they own 21st Century Fox and its intellectual property, which is a huge get, and one that would be shocking if The Simpsons didn't predict it in 1998. The episode, When You Dish Upon a Star, has Homer making a movie script and actually getting picked up by Ron Howard and Brian Gazer.
What's with him?
Oh, that's just Homer. He's a new friend of ours.
Really? You giant stars consider me a friend?
As they go into the movie studio, we see that it got backing from 20th Century Fox, but under the logo of 20th Century Fox are the words, a division of Walt Disney Company. Yep, they knew that Disney would buy the company 20 years before it happened. Scary. So, what do you think? What do you think of these times that The Simpsons predicted the future? Isn't it scary how accurate The Simpsons were in these episodes?
Tell us, tell us, tell us, tell us!
Oh, my hoops! My ridiculous flesh hoops!
Which of these predictions do you think is the weirdest of the bunch in terms of accuracy? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.